And we are back here at the Azure channel with Tao Young and Fernando Rolnik. And hello, Fernando.
Hi, George. How Tao? Welcome back here.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Nice shirts, mate.
Thank you. I'm Jason for the occasion.
Great to have Tao back here. And we're going to start like an Azure Monitoring series. I'm going to be starting from the beginning. Tao is going to explain how the thing works. If you never use Azure Monitoring, that's your opportunity to learn. And thanks, Tao, for put your hands up and be here with us to talk about that.
My pleasure.
Yours.
All right, let me share my screen.
And don't forget to subscribe our channel and
activate the notifications.
All right, so George told me there is he's heard like there are a lot of confusions about what is Azure Monitor and what's the difference between Azure Monitor and log analytics. So I think to best describe these two products, let me give it a bit of history. So back in 2015, Microsoft has announced a product called Operational Insights at Ignite in Chicago. So when Operational Insight was introduced, and later on it became a part of a product called Operations Management Suite, or OMS. Although now, if you talk to any Microsoft people, they really don't like using that name anymore, and they treat like as if it's never existed. But OMS was a suite of products that consist of Operational Insight, and then was later on got renamed to Log Analytics, and a few other products such as Azure Automation, backup and recovery and stuff. So and then I think a couple of years later, Microsoft has stopped using the name OMS, and there was something new was introduced called Azure Monitor. So if you look at Azure Monitor, it's really like back in the days, like before Azure Monitor, if you want to do monitoring, that was really you either use Log Analytics or App Insights, the two products, and there was one back around 2017, if my memory served me correctly. There was one update that Log Analytics has adopted the underlying technology used by App Insights called Kusto query language, and migrated all the existing Log Analytics workspaces into the same platform as App Insights. So fast forwarding 3 years now, if you talk about Log Analytics or App Insights, they're really running the exactly same infrastructure under the hood, and I think Microsoft is introducing, in the process of introducing a unique workspace where you can host both Log Analytics and App Insight into one workspace. So that's something that's current. So before Azure Monitor was introduced, if you want to do monitoring, if we want to talk about operational monitoring right now, like monitoring VMs, monitoring your paths, logs, and service and the matrices. So what you need to do is you make sure you configure Log Analytics workspace to collect all those logs or metrics, and then you can create alert rules within Log Analytics, and also you can create dashboards in Log Analytics workspace as well. But some of these capabilities has been taken out of Log Analytics now. For example, the alerting capability within Log Analytics has now become just the alert feature within Azure Monitor. So as taken out of Log Analytics, been placed into Azure Monitor, and so is the dashboards. Although you can still use the dashboards in Log Analytics. Microsoft has announced it's going to be retired. I can't remember the date, but the date has just recently been announced. So the dashboards in Log Analytics is been deprecated and being replaced by something called Workbook in Azure Monitor. So if you look at the overall architecture now, this is basically taken from Microsoft's documentation website. So Log Analytics just simply has become a data source for Azure Monitor, and along with many other data sources as well. Like you can have App Insights, Workspace as a data source, and then you can also use Azure Monitor to read metrics directly from Azure as well. So when we talk about monitoring, you basically there are three things, right? Three or four things. How you have a data source, then you have your detection, then you have your action, like what happens when an alert is triggered. So with that, so let's talk about the alert sources, data sources for now. It's called a signal. We have so we can have like Azure activity or tenant ID, Azure AD tenant level logs. We can have the diagnostic logs. So all these logs can be configured to be shipped to Log Analytics. So and then that becomes a data source in your Azure Monitor. Although we can also configure the matrix to be sent to like if we talk about only within Azure, the matrix for any your Azure resources can be configured to be shipped to Log Analytics or Event Hub or storage account via the diagnostic settings. So if you configure them into Log Analytics, they're also going to be available in Azure Monitor. However, Azure Monitor can also just read the metrics directly from Azure Metrics. So for example, if you want to you create a operational level alert based on some resource consumption, like for example, your SQL a PaaS service like the memory or CPU utilization for a PaaS database, for example, you don't actually have to go through the matrix to Log Analytics and then get it from Log Analytics. So you can actually directly use Azure Monitor to query Azure Metrics. So the benefit of leveraging using the data directly from Azure Metrics is that it's faster, because when you send the logs to Log Analytics, it takes time. It takes a few minutes to be indexed and become searchable. So if you want to do real level performance related alerting, recommendation is you probably should use Matrix, using the Matrix Explorer. So so with that, we also have VMs. So there's still a lot of VMs in the cloud, unfortunately. With VMs, so the way you collect the VM logs is that you can create install an agent and connect that agent into a Log Analytics workspace. Microsoft has just recently, I think it's only a couple of weeks ago, announced there's a new preview agent, completely rewritten agent that replacing the existing Microsoft monitoring agent. So either way, whatever agent you install, you can install a agent on either your Windows or Linux VMs and connect them to your Log Analytics, and then you can configure what logs and what performance data you want to collect. So and then that's how you can use Log Analytics to monitor your VMs. And for other third-party stuff that doesn't have a supported, like, doesn't fit in anything in this picture, well, Log Analytics also has a HTTP collector API. So basically, you can use this API to ingest data into your Log Analytics. Become show up as a custom log. So, so for example, if I have an application where I want to leverage Azure Monitor, what I can do is I can use this REST API to ingest my logs or metrics data into Log Analytics and get monitored that way. So that's so with that, because we have an agent for the VMs, and we have the HTTP API for ingesting custom logs. What this enables us is to not only monitor your resources in Azure, but also your on-prem resources and or potentially resources in another cloud. If you want to, for example, if you want to monitor your VMs in either GCP or AWS, as long as you install the agent and the firewall wasn't configured properly, that's absolutely possible to do that. So that's the data source, and then we have the data store. Like as you can see here, like we have a. Sorry.
So because this agent, you can monitor virtual machines even on premise. If you have machines running inside your company, you can have this agent and you can monitor this using the Azure Monitor service.
Yeah. Yes. So with on-prem machines, you can either install a Microsoft monitoring agent, or if your VMs are being monitored by a System Center Operations Manager or SCOM, you can actually connect your SCOM management group directly into a Log Analytics workspace, and then enroll what machines you want to monitor by Azure Monitor directly in your SCOM console. So and that way, so in a large environment, you probably don't want to configure that one. Your VMs like one at a time, so you can, if you have a SCOM management group, you can enroll hundreds of thousands of machines all in one go.
It's a smart solution. In the case we are talking about big enterprise, we have dozens of machines, and it's just configure this SCOM. Good.
Yes. Yep.
Now, a quick one as well is like application level, as we used to call application insights. We have all the soft development kits, the SDKs, where you can pretty much, at the end of the day, calling the HTTP APIs, but there is like a software SDK level that to make your life of the developers easier to integrate with the applications as well. And I think the Azure Monitor is that umbrella now that gets all that applications.
Yes. With Azure App Insight, well, I'm not a developer, but with my limited experience, if I go to a function app, I think this one, this really just it's very easy to connect that into a App Insights workspace. For example, this one, or like in the code, all I need to do is just to have this App Insights instrumentation key as the application setting, and that will automatically connect my function app into a App Insight workspace.
Yes, it's very interesting because you can also like embed code like on the HTML page to have several controls how your application is running, and you can get controls like the retention. You can make like a click map what your, like if you have an e-commerce website, so you can see what your customers are clicking. You can manage the performance of your web application. This is a very handy tool and can do everything monitoring.
If there if there are any like exceptions like thrown in your code, then you can use App Insights to collect those exceptions and stuff as well. So that's like we're talking about App Insights, just the Microsoft's solution for APM, application performance monitoring. So that's what that is. So the good thing about it is it's running in the same code base with log analytics. So if you learn one query language, which is Kusto, you'll be able to use what you've learned in both log analytics and App Insights.
Yeah, Tao, and a great thing is for the developers is keep the logs outside your database, because many years ago people used to put all the logs inside the database, and the logs become bigger than the database, the application database itself. And the best way is to move that outside, and Azure Monitoring, with application inside is the best option for that.
Yeah, so this is really a PaaS solution for your data store. Think about it as like a Splunk equivalent, but a PaaS version. So what you do is that for log analytics or App Insights, once you configure, you configure a retention period. So the retention period can be like anywhere up to 2 years. So you can just ingest log, and that's all you need to care about. Like as a developer, just go, this log needs to log into App Insights, and then it does the rest by itself. So you don't have to worry about like prune your database and delete all the logs, and this is all done automatically. So once we have the logs, we have all these data sources we can consume, and then what we can do is that how do we consume the data? Like many people would like to use like a visual kind of person. They want to visualize the log. They want to see the dashboards. You can absolutely do that. You can create a Azure Monitor workbook to visualize the data, and also there's a Power BI connector to your log analytics workspace as well. So if you are familiar with Power BI, or you want to do some of those cool visual and then have other kind of data that aggregating on Power BI, you can also do that as well. So using the Power BI connector to connect to your log analytics, and then have a Power BI dashboard show up in your Office 365 portals. So that's fine. And also log analytics and App Insights, they give you a portal where you can, which is embedded in Azure. So if I go to log analytics and go to a workspace, so it gives you this this experience. So where you can query, type your query and then and access the data that way. So for example, if I want to get the agent heartbeat from the VMs, I can just type heartbeat, and that will show me all the heartbeat data over the last 24 hours. There's nothing. Oh, sorry, that's a wrong workspace. And as you can see that as I'm typing, it has intelligence, so prompts me what I need to type. The only thing you need to just keep in mind is that the query language is actually case sensitive. So yeah, so that's all the heartbeat data from the VMs are connected to this workspace. So very, very simple to work with. There's a lot of free materials you can use to learn the query language. if you have used Splunk before, you'll find it's really similar to Splunk. What's the Splunk language name? Whatever language you're using Splunk. I've briefly played with Splunk in the past, but when I firstly start writing queries in Splunk, it looks just very similar to Splunk. And Microsoft has also got a documentation on how the differences in the syntax between Splunk query language and the Kusto. So I'll find the link later, and I'll send that to George and make sure that's included in the description in this video. So once we have the data, we can visualize the data, and then we can also create alerts. So when in Azure Monitor, we can create a alert rule. So basically, you pick when we create an alert, you pick the data source, and you pick how often you want to run the detection. For example, run a query, say a CPU over 80% in 95th percentile, whatever, right? And if that anything is being detected, and then do something. So the query can run as often as every 5 minutes, and the action is defined in a resource type. It's called a action group. So a action group can be just basically defines what action is going to be taken by Azure Monitor when a resource is when alert is raised. So it can be email, it can be a SMS, it can be a push notification, and it can be a webhook to trigger a external system if nothing else suits your needs. And also Microsoft has a ITSM connector that allows you to send alerts directly to several supported ITSM tools like ServiceNow, System Center, Service Manager, and then there are a few more I can't remember. So that's basically what alert is. We're going to dive into details in the later. The second part of the video, I think. So yeah, that's really just Azure Monitor. So one thing I want to, I've seen people asking me is that, is this something that I need to enable, or is there anything I need to set up? No, once you have a Azure subscription, Azure Monitor is already there. As you can see, it's really just a framework. Azure Monitor is already there. So all you need to do is just make sure that you determine where your data source is, and then create an alert rule. So it's not something that you need to create or establish yourself. Azure Monitor is already there, but you do it's not free though. Obviously, when you store data into App Insights or Log Analytics, you gotta pay for the amount of data you ingest into there, and then the price is based on the amount of data and the retention period, and also the alert rules. I think it's charged whenever time a alert is fired, and then there's a cost involved in that. But if you go to the Azure pricing calculator site, you find the exact the info, the details for how much it's going to cost you to use Azure Monitor. And
that's great, Tao. And it'll be pretty much consumption based by consumption.
Yes.
And we have this umbrella that's Azure Monitoring that go across all the data source and all the storage that you have for application VMs, even for the Azure resource in general, any Azure resource. It's pretty much integrated with everything on Azure these days. And the visualization is very powerful. The workbooks and the dashboards, maybe we're going to see on the next part, a bit more in details. But that's the introduction for Azure Monitoring, and we'll be back soon with the part 2 that go a little bit, start going deeper on the product itself. Thanks, Tal. See you guys
Thank you.
soon.
See ya.
Thanks, Fernando.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks. See ya. Bye.